Only one man on the planet has won 3 FIFA World Cups as a player. No list of immortals of football is complete without the mighty Pele, hero of Brazil and one of the most famous names in all of sports. Gianluigi Buffon is a modern-day marvel. As goalkeeper for Italy, Juventus and PSG, he has stood tall for more than 20 years. And Alfredo Di Stefano was the king of Real Madrid, a forward who bestrode the game in the 1950s. This is the Immortals. His birth certificate named him Edson Arantes do Nascimento. But by the time he was a teenager, everyone knew him by the sobriquet bestowed by his friends. The whole world would come to know this little footballing genius as Pele. He was already a star at 15 when his parents allowed him to trial at Santos, the giant Brazilian league club. His coach from his hometown Bauru, a small city in Brazil's south, told Santos he was delivering something special. The greatest football player in the world. At just 17, Pele was selected as a forward for Brazil to compete in his first World Cup in 1958, and his legend was born. He played with no fear. He played the beautiful game that would soon come to symbolize the Brazilian style, with its flair, its skill, and its aesthetic beauty. Virtually unknown to that point, at least on the world stage, he exploded with 3 goals against France in the semi-final, then put the ball in the net twice in the final against the host nation Sweden, as Brazil dominated 5-2. Pele's moments were to lift the ball over a defender and score with a beautiful strike in the 55th minute, then put the exclamation point on the win with a headed goal in the 90th minute. Brazil as a nation had been in a kind of mourning for 8 years, since losing the final to Uruguay at home at the Maracanã in 1950. Now, they sought and achieved redemption for their country. Brazil's first World Cup triumph, led by the audacious talent of Pele.
They didn't know Brazil. Then, after this World Cup, Brazil became well-known all over the world. I think this was one very important moment for me because I make my country be well-known to the world. I think this was the important moment in my life.
Pele was already an immortal, although he was just a teen, establishing records that still stand today. At 17, he was the youngest player to play a World Cup final, the youngest scorer in a World Cup final, and the youngest player to win a World Cup winner's medal. He stood alongside the giants of the game in Brazil, like Garrincha, the dribbling master, who would steer his country to a second consecutive World Cup win in 1962, as Pele lay idle and injured for the final. At the 1966 tournament in England, he was brutalized in tackles as his name and reputation preceded him, and Brazil suffered a humiliating exit after the group stage. But Brazil's 1970 World Cup team in Mexico would go down as arguably the greatest team in the history of football, winning the final against Italy 4-1, Pele offering up the opening goal and securing the golden ball as player of the tournament. If 1958 was his arrival as the new superstar, 1970 was his crowning as the king. In the history of the World Cup, No other player before or since has won 3 World Cup medals, the most coveted in the game. Pele played in 4 World Cups, scoring 12 goals. And the Latin nation has now won 5 World Cup tournaments, more than any other country. It still plays the beautiful game. This is the legacy of Pele. Still to come on the Immortals, the age-old argument, is Pele the greatest of all? It's the unsolvable debate. Who is the greatest footballer of all time? By a broad general consensus, it is Pele, Brazil's masterful number 10. But ultimately, this is a matter of opinion. Many Brazilians argue that their own Garrincha holds the mantle. Real Madrid folk will say that Alfredo Di Stefano, the giant of the 1950s, was better. Or the Dutch might vote for Johan Cruyff, while Argentine Diego Maradona has many supporters. Then there are the modern-day superheroes, Lionel Messi of Argentina, Cristiano Ronaldo of Portugal, vastly decorated men who deserve to go into the annals of the sport. FIFA itself named its Player of the Century in 2000, and Pele won easily in a vote of a grand jury and FIFA magazine readers, with 72.8% of the first votes, ahead of Di Stefano at 10% and Maradona at 6%. In a separate online poll of the public that only served to confuse the case and skew the results toward more recent players, Maradona won with 53% of first votes, ahead of Pele's 18%, and FIFA ended up handing out 2 awards to calm the waters. The International Federation of Football History and Statistics named Pele Football Player of the Century, and he was named at the Golden Foot Awards in Monte Carlo in 2012 as the best ever. Germany's legendary Franz Beckenbauer thought it nonsense to have the debate at all. There's no one to compare with Pele. Zico, a Brazilian legend himself and a teammate, also weighed in. There's only one possible answer: Pele. He's the greatest player of all time, and by some distance, I might add. The man himself loved the modern players, just as they revered him.
The style of Messi is completely different than the style of Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, now we have Neymar. We have a lot of different players, but if you ask today, I think Messi, to me, is the one more complete.
These are questions without definitive answers, and ultimately, it was Pele himself who put it all in context.
I think the secret to success is to respect people, to be prepared always, and then never think you are the best.
Over time, Edson Arantes, the footballer, morphed into Pele, the global superstar, and became one of the first big sporting brands. Pele met Ronald Reagan, the US president. Time magazine named him among the 100 most influential people of the 20th century, along with Gandhi and Einstein, the Beatles, and Nelson Mandela. It was Mandela, Pele's hero, who presented him with a Laureus Lifetime Achievement Award in 2000. To watch him play was to watch the delight of a child combined with the extraordinary grace of a man in full. In the mid-1970s, Pele spent the second phase of his career playing with the New York Cosmos, helping popularize football in the United States for the first time. He had been coaxed out of retirement in Brazil by a $1.4 million a season contract. Huge money for a sportsman in the 1970s.
I think what Cosmo did in the beginning, what we promote the soccer in the United States, and then go through the world. I mentioned about sometime I got very upset because I played 25 years with Santos. We won the World Cup. I scored a lot of goals, more than 1,000 goals. And every place where I arrived, the people say, Pele, what happened with the Cosmos? I say, it's a magic, unbelievable.
The Cosmos changed the sporting landscape in the US, luring Beckenbauer and other superstars from Europe. For the first time, soccer, as it is known in the US, was a major player as the crowds came to Yankee Stadium. But Pele was approaching retirement. His last playing appearance in 1977 in New Jersey, appropriately an exhibition game between Santos and the Cosmos. Married 3 times and father of 6 children, he moved into the football afterlife, but never lost his celebrity. In Santos, where he played 19 seasons and won 6 Brazilian league titles, they opened a museum in his name. Including friendlies, he scored over 1,000 goals for his original club. Pele's 1,000th goal in all football, scored from a penalty while playing for Santos against Vasco da Gama at the Maracanã in November 1969, became a moment of great symbolism in Brazilian football. He chose not to coach beyond his playing career, a fact he related to Jose Mourinho, the Manchester United manager, with a sense of irony.
I was talking with him personally once, no? It was 2 years ago, last year. He said, Pele, you don't want to be coach. I told him, Marinho, I am not crazy. You are crazy. But he is a lock and an excellent coach.
A religious man, he traveled the world spreading the word of his God and promoting the sport as its most famous ambassador, selling his memorabilia and giving most of the money to a hospital. His legacy is 1,281 goals in 1,363 games, the most goals by any player according to the Guinness Book of Records, for it was finishing that was his trademark. FIFA's official records show that he scored 5 goals in a game 6 times, 4 goals 30 times, 92 hat-tricks, and that once for Santos in 1964, he scored 8. His 3 World Cup medals are a record, but most of all, he won the reverence, love, and admiration of the world for his skill and grace. Named after Edison, inventor of the electric light globe, Pele came to illuminate the world of sport like scarcely anyone has before or since.
It's a great honour and a great privilege, really, to be standing here and being asked to present an award to Pele, because the word legend is used very often these days, but in fact, I think there are really very few legends in the world of football, and the greatest legend of all is sitting with us tonight, and I think he's shown that on 1,000 occasions.
Up next on the Immortals, the incomparable Gigi, goalkeeper for the ages. If longevity is the test of immortality in sports, then the indestructible Gianluigi Buffon has passed with astronomical levels. Legendary Italian goalkeeper Gigi Buffon is a recurring nightmare for opposing forwards. He was the constant in the ever-changing world of Juventus and Italian football, a priceless piece of the furniture, much loved and treasured. At 191 centimeters, with his well-manicured crop of hair and his ubiquitous facial hair, Buffon is an imposing figure, and it is part of the mystique of the great shot stopper from Carrara, Tuscany, in central Italy. It was happening in 1995 when he debuted for Parma in Serie A, and was the same at Juventus and PSG, as well as an international competition for Italy. Gigi Buffon sits among the best goalkeepers in the game's history, with the likes of Russia's Lev Yashin, Oliver Kahn of Germany, Spain's Iker Casillas, and the modern-day wonder-keeper, Manuel Neuer of Germany and the dominant Bayern Munich. Buffon came from a family of sportsmen and women. His sisters both played on the Italian national volleyball team, and he was quickly drawn to sport, working his way through Parma's youth system. Initially, he played as a midfielder, but his height and the inspiration he drew from Thomas Nkono's feats in goal for Cameroon in the 1990 World Cup led him to have a stint as goalkeeper that proved to be important. At 17, he made his Serie A debut for Parma, and when he transferred to Juve in 2001, the price of 52 million euros made him the most expensive goalkeeper in history. That record survived even after Neuer's 30 million euro switch from Schalke to Bayern in 2011. The high point of Buffon's career was the 2006 World Cup finals in Germany, when Italy won its 4th trophy. Italy boasted a great defense led by its captain, Fabio Cannavaro, and with Buffon almost impassable, breezed through the group stage, having conceded just 1 goal, an own goal against the United States. The great Buffon kept further clean sheets against Australia in the round of 16, Ukraine in the quarter-final, and Germany in the semi-final, sending Italy to a famous final against France in Berlin. History tells us that Italy won the final in a penalty shootout on Fabio Grosso's left foot. But prior to that, Buffon had been monumental, making a great save from Thierry Henry's stinging shot. In extra time, just before France's captain Zinedine Zidane was sent off for an infamous headbutt on Marco Materazzi, Zidane was left open in the box, and he lasered a header at goal that would have broken the deadlock. Calmly, Buffon tipped it over the bar, one of his most famous saves, and the one that kept Italy alive in that match, allowing the Azzurri to win 5-3 in the penalty shootout that ensued. Not surprisingly, he won the Yashin Award for goalkeeper of the tournament, as Italy lifted the cup for the first time since 1982. Goalkeepers rarely win plaudits, such as the famous Ballon d'Or. But Buffon was nominated at 38 years of age in 2016, after a great year with Juve. He finished 9th in the voting, behind Cristiano Ronaldo, while his best finish in a FIFA World Player of the Year award is 8th in 2006. As for Buffon, he continued to ply his trade at Juve as the club launched into one of its greatest eras, winning 5 straight Serie A titles from 2012, as well as 3 Supercoppa titles and 2 Coppa Italia triumphs in the space of 4 years. Juventus was the king of Italy again, and the match-fixing scandal that rocked Italian football in 2006 and saw Juventus stripped of 2 Serie A titles was relegated to the distant past. Buffon was one of several big-name players, along with the likes of Alessandro Del Piero, who remained with Juve even as it was dispatched to Serie B as punishment, and the fans never forgot his loyalty. This club has helped me to win, and if I have become world champion, it is thanks to Juve. I can cope with a year in the 2nd division. Captain of Italy from 2011, after Cannavaro's retirement, he also became captain of Juventus and was at the heart of the famous Turin club's rise from the depths of 2007. He began establishing records, becoming Italy's most capped player, and in 2015-16, going 974 minutes of playing time with Juve without conceding a goal over 12 matches, breaking the Serie A record of 929 minutes, set by Sebastian Rossi more than 20 years earlier.
Veramente di cuore I miei compagni per.
Obviously, I must thank my wholehearted teammates for this beautiful and satisfying moment, which I am enjoying thanks to them. And even if the word Buffon will be written in the table, I think that it will be read as Juve 2015-16, because it's a team record.
Un record di squadra.
Still, no one has kept more clean sheets in Serie A than this father of three, and he has been named Serie A Goalkeeper of the Year a whopping 12 times. Only 3 men have played in 5 World Cups: Buffon, Germany's Lothar Matthäus, and Mexican goalkeeper Antonio Caballal. Buffon's unbroken run began when he was an unused substitute in the 1998 tournament in France, which still counts to his record because he was part of the official squad. He was 40 when France won at Russia 2018. And Buffon had wanted one last dance.
Di conseguenza, nella mia testa,
The idea in my mind at the moment is to continue my career for another 2 years. And I'd like to continue at the top level, as I am doing now.
Come sto facendo adesso.
However, Gigi retired from national duties before that World Cup, remembered always as an immortal. When we return, the majesty of Alfredo Di Stefano. They called him the Blonde Arrow because of his penetrating runs. Alfredo Di Stefano is regarded by no less a football power than the mighty Real Madrid as its best ever player. That's in a group that includes the likes of Zinedine Zidane, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ferenc Puskás, and its legendary former keeper, Iker Casillas. Some think Di Stefano the best ever player from any part of the world. Men like Eusebio, the great Portuguese striker. He is the most complete footballer in the history of the game. Di Stefano is a legend of Spanish football, but he is unusual in that he played for 3 different countries: Spain, Argentina, and Colombia. Argentine by birth, he grew up in Buenos Aires and played his early football for the famous Argentinian club River Plate, like his father had, before moving to Colombia when players in his native country went on strike. In 4 years at River Plate and another 4 at the Colombian club Millonarios, he clocked up a string of titles and built his reputation as a genius on the field. Needless to say, when he moved to Spain in 1953, there was a fight over his services between the great Spanish rivals Barcelona and Real. Real Madrid won the battle. In his first game against the Catalans, Di Stefano taunted them with a hat-trick. He would do it many more times in 12 years with Real, scoring 308 goals in 396 official matches, and forming a wonderful liaison with the great Puskás as the club entered its glory period. From 1956, Real Madrid won an unprecedented 5 consecutive European Cups, and Di Stefano scored in each of the finals, including a hat-trick in the 5th of these in 1960. Real won 7-3 over Eintracht Frankfurt in one of the best exhibitions of club football ever seen. When he retired, Di Stefano went on to manage famous clubs like Boca Juniors in Argentina and Valencia in Spain, and in 2 stints at Real Madrid, continuing to write his legend story.
Since the first moment someone talks to you about Di Stefano, your grandparents, your parents, or your uncles, Everything they told us about him made us look at him like an institution in the club. Saying Alfredo Di Stefano was like saying Real Madrid.
Di Stefano was honorary president of Real until his death in 2014, an event that caused an outpouring of grief in Madrid, throughout Spain, and the world of football.
Alfredo Di Stefano is Real Madrid.
The legend, of course, lives on, for Alfredo Di Stefano was more than a footballer. He was, and is, an immortal.